I feel like we're in a position right now that we haven't been in a while, and it's really bringing down the morale of the shelter, because we work so hard with these animals, and people might think, you know, wah, little tiny violin, but you're not working here and you're not doing it, and you're not the one that's euthanizing the animals. So, and you can't have it both ways. We got a lot of negative comments about PCACC, who was here for almost 2 years, you know, in and out. Well, you should have just let him go. It would have been better to let him go. But was it? I mean, he was a good boy. He got out of his yard every morning. He went to his yard every morning. He got on walks. He got to hang out with people in offices. He went to foster a couple of times. So, I mean, why would we want to kill that animal just because he's been...
Hey everybody, welcome back to our podcast. Why are you laughing in my high-pitched voice? So it's been a while since we've done this episode. This is kind of one we've been procrastinating. It's not our favorite topic, but it's the reality of our shelter right now. And we just want to kind of help people understand what no-kill means, and then our euthanasia policies as a county shelter. So if you guys don't know where no-kill came from, it was pretty much a movement that started because animals were just getting euthanized in shelters senselessly. They're happy, healthy animals. Best Friends, I think, is the biggest organization that took lead on that and challenged shelters, you know, instead of senselessly killing, finding alternative placement. And this started way back in the 1980s when they started doing no-kill. And it's just been getting progressive since then. At the time, we were euthanizing as a country 17 million animals, and it has gone down. I don't even know the exact number.
It's about 700,000 right now.
Euthanized in the country?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
it's
it was
way
that.
Down.
Yeah. That's a drastic change.
Yeah, it is. It's way down.
And that's because we've gotten so much more data. Best Friends has done an incredible job compiling data from all across the country. Every brick and mortar shelter that's willing to cooperate gives them data, and we're able to look at a map of the whole country and see where the hot spots are that people needing help.
And there is only one state that the entire state is no-kill, and that's Delaware.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's every shelter in Delaware reports data, and that's largely because there's a handful there.
Now, there are, like Arizona, we're in the Mountain West region, and Arizona is almost no-kill, so we're doing well, but the biggest states that are euthanizing a lot of animals is Texas, California, Florida, North Carolina, and I want to say Georgia, but maybe even Louisiana.
I think there's a couple of Alabama, Arkansas, are also in like that orange direct tier.
But I do know the big states, Florida, Texas, and California, obviously they're having a hard time. So we need to tell them, everybody, who this is, because she hasn't been in a podcast yet.
This is our Deputy Director, Katrina. Introduce yourself.
So I'm the Deputy Director at Pinal County. I also handle like the medical department with all of our veterinarians and the medical care for the animals that are in shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And then just going back to the no-kill. No-kill does not mean no euthanasia at all. It just means that the shelter has a 90% live release rate, so 90% of the animals that are coming in leave alive. That 10% can be animals that have severe medical issues, what else? Severe behavior issues.
Are a danger to let out into society.
The example I tend to give people is if you hit a dog on the I-10 with your car and its back is broken and it's severely injured and bleeding out, and we're called to take that animal in, and that animal is not treatable, we have to euthanize it. That is the humane thing to do, but that death counts against us every single time.
Yes.
Those deaths are counted against us. If a dog breaks down a gate and mauls a child in the community, and the court deems that dog vicious and we have to euthanize it, that death counts against us. So a decent chunk of our euthanasia comes from cases that are not our choice, whether that's court mandated, whether that is a completely untreatable medical animal, and then the last few percentages are dogs that we can't safely house in shelter or treat in shelter. Dogs who are too dangerous to house here. They're dangerous for staff to handle, they have a prior history of aggression, or they're just not treatable to manage in shelter. This, in medical, could be cats with diabetes that are really aged. We don't have adequate medical staffing to handle those complex cases.
Nope.
The no-kill movement, it's done a lot of good things for animal welfare. You know, there's animals not getting euthanized just because they end up in a shelter. There is some negatives that do come with it, though. We do see animals get housed here longer. just because we need to find placement for them and we're not just euthanizing for space anymore. And there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to no-kill in the public, and I think it causes division amongst shelters and rescues and everything. We'll hear people all the time say, oh, don't support that shelter, they're not a no-kill shelter, which is kind of backwards thinking in my opinion, because they're still a shelter, they still need help, and animals will ultimately die in that shelter if they don't get help. I just think it causes a lot of division within, and there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for?
It's a public misconception.
Yeah,
I think.
misconception.
I largely try to say that we are a life-saving community shelter because the term no-kill is a real buzzword.
That I just really don't like. I don't like it anymore. I don't like the word no-kill because people take it so literal and it's just not. And I feel like 90% of the animals, I mean, if you have all kinds of good programs in place and you have a team that's on board, you should be able to make 90%. You know what I mean? But I mean,
our shelter right now is at what?
95.
90?
I checked yesterday.
Yeah, and that is a decrease from 97%,
right.
And that's largely because we're getting a lot of really sick and really injured animals,
right.
And that we didn't see quite as much before. I don't know if it's that they are being dumped or if people just can't afford care. But we've seen, I would argue, I've seen the worst cases of true neglect, emaciated animals that are almost starved completely to death in the past 5 years. I've seen worse in the past 6 months than in those 5 years prior.
Yeah,
really severe cruelty cases of people, really truly horrific abuse that I just never saw in the 5 years prior. And I don't know if that's a worldwide issue or if we're just seeing it within our county.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
It is a really charged word. And I think, there's some places out there that use that to their advantage. They throw the term no-kill into their motto and stuff so they can gain support, even though it may not be necessarily true. Because the thing with becoming a no-kill shelter is there is no governing body that determines if you're a no-kill shelter. Data can get, messed up and moved into ways to be in favor of places. So you just really have to do your research when you're supporting your shelters and knowing their morals. That's why I kind of stray away from the term no-kill. I like life-saving as well because we do everything in our care. An animal comes into our care, we're looking at that animal as an individual and trying to do everything for that animal that's best for that animal. We really leave our own convenience out of it. But with our current situation at the shelter, talk of euthanasia has been coming up repeatedly because we are just so full. We've been getting really bombarded with animals and we just have nowhere to put them. How many animals did we get in the last 2 weeks?
I don't know about the last 2 weeks, but yesterday was 25.
Yeah.
Just in one day.
Yeah, from yesterday to Thursday. So from Wednesday evening to yesterday at close, we took in 25 animals. 25 dogs.
And that's just too much for our shelter. We only have 152 kennels, and we already have so many kennels doubled up, tripled up. And that's not ideal because these dogs get on each other's nerves and they'll end up fighting. And then now we have an injured dog, and and it was due to our making because we had to double them up. So, I mean, it's just not an ideal situation. And I think that, I guess I feel like we're in a position right now that we haven't been in a while, and it's really bringing down the morale of the shelter because we work so hard with these animals. They come in, they don't know how to walk on a leash. Don't even know how to walk on a leash. It takes us 4 months to get them to walk on a leash. Might be a while before we could touch them and stuff like that. And because of all these animals coming in, now all of that work that went into that animal, now we're having to look at that animal like, well, is it that adoptable? What are we going to do? Should we, euthanize this one that we put the blood, sweat, and tears into so that we could bring in one that might be a little more adoptable? And people might think, wah, little tiny violin. But you're not working here and you're not doing it and you're not the one that's euthanizing the animals. So until you've lived it, you cannot be an armchair quarterback. You just can't.
Yeah. Like I said, we look at animals as individuals here and we do everything we can for them, which, it's been really hard on morale here. Everyone's been bickering with one another because it sucks. It sucks the position we're in, and it's easier to blame everyone. But at the end of the day, it's a decision we'll have to make, and we'll be the ones that have to do it. And these are dogs that we know personally Cats are fine. We can manage our cat population. It's medium and large dogs that we really, really need help with. Did you have
and with cats, since you touched on cats, we are incredibly fortunate that we don't have a cat problem, and
so
that is
fortunate.
largely because we have some incredible volunteers that have created a networking base of cat rescues that do everything they can to take cats from us. And they are incredible. We're incredibly fortunate. The only cats' lives that we are losing here are the truly vulnerable, where we can't get bottle baby fosters, and housing them in shelter is not possible. There's no staff here 24/7 to bottle feed them every hour, and only so many people can take home bottle babies. Every staff member has taken home bottle babies to bottle feed overnight, and that's not a realistic expectation of staff who are already here working in the heat, working with these animals 8 and 10 hours a day, to then ask them to be up all night bottle feeding kittens is not something we can ask them to do every single day. So we're really fortunate to not have a cat problem, but that's also because the cat community has been incredibly supportive, and I'm very grateful that in the midst of the dog overpopulation crisis that we're not also having to worry about cats.
Right.
But our dog population, when she says 152 kennels, we mean 152 in the entire facility. That is quarantine for both dogs that are here on a state-mandated bite hold. That's quarantine for infectious disease. That's a medical wing. That's straight intake. Our actual general population kennels are only about 115. So we really, when we say there's 200 dogs here, that means that 50%, 70% of our kennels are at double or triple capacity. There is nowhere left to put them. There's a dog in every office. Every dog that's capable of living in an office is living in an office. Sometimes two. We have relocated all of our cats to our feral cat room because our cat census is low, and there are pop-up kennels and dogs living in our cat room because we're not going to euthanize treatable, friendly dogs who deserve a chance because it's inconvenient to house them in a pop-up kennel. But that can only last for so long because now all the offices are full. And just this morning, 4 more strays were at the door at 10 a.m.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, including dogs with microchips whose owners have reclaimed them in the past and now just don't want to come to the door. We're in a capacity crisis that we've never seen in the past 5 years. It's unreal how many animals we are housing in the shelter and doing our best to keep them sane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you guys think the solution is? I think there's multiple things that can contribute to us not having to go down the path we want to go to. And I mean, that's our community stepping up, fostering, adopting, even just advocating, sharing our posts and networking goes a long ways. We do out-of-state adoptions. But another thing is accountability. Animals are technically property in the state of Arizona, and people just dump them. People move all the time and leave animals behind at their rental properties, and we have to take them in. Strays with microchips, owners not coming forward.
We had 5 last week alone, and every single one of the microchips went back to somebody, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I don't want that dog anymore," or they just knew the dog was here. Okay, I'll come get it. Never came and got it.
Those are the heartbreaking ones. We get a hold of somebody and they are like, "Oh yeah, I'll be down to get him later on today."
Never show up.
And we'll even have officers take dogs home. The officers will drive the dog back to your house if transportation is an issue. We will do everything to get these dogs home. If you need help, we will do it. But we can't do it if we don't know who you are, and we can't do it if they don't ask when we call. And that's a major struggle. Is friendly strays that are fat and shiny and overtly friendly to strangers are not stray dogs.
No,
they have
an
a home.
owner.
They're living in the community somewhere, and we don't know how to better get them home. The officers post lost dog flyers. We post on Facebook. We'll go through community Facebook pages and post the dogs that are found, and we get very little traction. The RTO rate, return to owner rate in the shelter, was pretty consistently hovering between 10 and 15%, and it's below 8% this year.
Wow, that's crazy.
So the dogs are just not going home. And that's really difficult. And I think one of the solutions is spay and neuter. We know that. AZ Vet Direct, I'm going to give them a very good shout out. They are parking in Pinal County pretty much every single week, at least twice a week, all over the county. And the prices are affordable. If you put $20 away every week in a month or so, you'll be able to get your dog altered. And that's part of community accountability we have spay and neuter vouchers, but we only get so many, and we can only spay and neuter so many people's dogs for free before the money's gone. that there's got to be some accountability of being willing to spend $100 to get your dog fixed. Because we've had more pregnant moms come in this year than ever. They're coming in still shiny and fat and friendly and heavily pregnant when they're getting brought in the door. And they give birth here in the shelter, and those puppies grow up here in the shelter. And that's not a life to grow up the first 8 weeks of your life in a concrete kennel where we do everything we can to socialize them, but they're not getting adequate socialization in that critical developmental periods that they need to go on and be healthy members of society. And we ask for fosters to foster the moms and puppies, and we know that's a huge undertaking. And they just end up staying here. And then the puppies eventually leave when they're 8 weeks old, and then mom is left here. We have 2 moms that are here right now that gave birth to their puppies here, and their puppies were here for 8 weeks, and their puppies have all been adopted, and they are waiting to go home while all their puppies have found homes.
Which, 4 or 5 years ago, that was unheard of. We had a pregnant mom or mom and puppies come in, rescue would swoop them up so quick. So when Queen was here and had to raise her puppies here, it was just wow, that's crazy.
And it's not that we don't have any rescue partners people may think.
It's just that
they're full as well.
Also.
So, and it's a lot easier to adopt out puppies, but for some reason, that's even becoming a problem. I mean, how many puppies have we had that we can't even adopt out because people don't want them?
We have a pure, not purebred, quote unquote, because we obviously don't have papers, but there is pretty much a purebred black lab puppy that's in that's been on Pet Harbor since she came in on Monday, and she's still here, and nobody has asked about her. No. And she's real cute, and she's very sweet.
And all the shepherds we have here too. These are beautiful, you look at it, it looks like a purebred German Shepherd. Of course, we can't, no DNA test, but, they're high-quality German Shepherds.
And they're nice.
Yeah, they're both
nice.
super nice and, dog-friendly and still, pretty young. They'll adjust to your home pretty quickly, and they're just sitting here. And, of course, we have our bully breeds who just naturally sit longer.
And huskies.
Oh, yeah, huskies.
And, it's weird because people will come in. And they'll try to help, but then they'll walk our kennels and they'll go, God, you have a lot of pit bulls, or you have a lot of large dogs. I was looking for a small dog. Small dogs are not the problem. Those are easy. Those are out the door in within, a week? 5 days?
It used to be they didn't last 3 days past their hold period, but now it's 10 to 15 days. So even small dogs are seeing an increase.
But it's a lot faster than,
for sure.
Absolutely. The other dogs.
Angus, who's been here for a total of what? How long have you been here?
He's been in and out of here his entire life.
Yeah.
Since 2015.
Yeah.
Angus.
Well, and Angus is a prime example of that. We're dedicated to being a life-saving shelter. Angus had heartworm. He also has severe arthritis in his elbow. He also has valley fever. All of those are things that in a lot of shelters would have slated him for euthanasia because he's also a large breed dog that is pretty dog selective. And he's a big black pitty. And those are treatable conditions, and we have treated him because he deserves a family. But when we hit capacity crisis like we're at right now, and we have to start making decisions on how are we going to create space, what kind of dogs are not adoptable, we have to look at dogs like Angus that have chronic long-term medical needs that are difficult to adopt out and that have been here for years.
He's a senior now, and Angus, by all means, 'cause I can already hear people saying, oh, he's a bully breed, you said he's animal selective, he needs to get euthanized. Angus is not a danger to society at all. He's just sitting here, relaxing. He lives behind a baby gate in Director Michael's office, and he's fine. He can see dogs walk by. He may give a little huff every now and then, but he's not going to, break down gates or anything to try to attack anybody or any other dogs,
Well, and before he came to us, he was frequently at large in his community.
Yeah.
And he was friendly. So when he was at large, he was not out behaving we get a lot of comments that, he doesn't like every dog, so yeah, he should be euthanized. But that's not reality. You don't like every person you meet at the gas station. I don't expect every dog to like every dog they meet either.
Yeah. People tend to forget compatibility is a big key when you're getting dogs. Just because 2 dogs do well with other dogs doesn't mean they're going to be compatible
with every dog.
Yeah.
Just like you've never been, not every first date you've been on has been successful.
Right. And another thing too is that when people do come here to help us foster or adopt, and we're very grateful, you're not going to get the perfect dog out of the gate. You're just not. I mean, you have to put in some effort, you know, to like try to make that dog feel comfortable. Because a lot of these dogs have been living here for a very long time. They need decompression time. They're not going to be the best dog. And I don't know how many, it seems like it's happening. I don't know if it's because we have more of a lenient foster program where we just go pick a dog and take it home and see how it works. But like, people will bring a dog back after an hour, after a day, after a night, and it's for stupid stuff, like the dog peed in my house, or, you know,
it whined in a crate.
Or, you know, oh, my landlord said I can't have it. Did you not clear that with your landlord before you checked? I mean, I just don't understand. Or, you know, I just don't like this dog. This dog is a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
you know? These are things that, like, I have a dog that if I would have brought him to a shelter, he'd be dead because he's psycho. He's a little psycho dog. He's crazy. I don't know. We all have had these dogs that are just like a nightmare. I didn't give up on him, and I love him to death. But I mean, he would have died in a shelter because he's not all there, you know? But I mean, that's no reason to not put effort into it. If you really truly come here and you're walking our kennels because you want to help, then please help. Put some effort into the whole process. It's just a small ask, you know? You're not going to get the perfect dog. If you go and spend $3,000 on a dog at the mall, are you going to go return it because it peed on your carpet? No, absolutely not. You're going to do everything to make sure that that dog is living its best life. At least, hopefully, you are, because that dog cost you $3,000.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we often struggle because we see the dogs every day, so we know the reality of what their life is like living in the kennel, and we do everything we can to keep them sane. And when they go into a home, sometimes I think people don't understand the decompression time they really need. When you've lived in an environment where I call it like power of choice, they don't have power of choice living in the shelter. We choose when they get out on a walk. We choose when they go to playgroup. We choose when they eat. We choose when they get enrichment. The only thing they have control over is what they do in the kennel. So when you're walking the kennels, and people will come back and be like, oh, I only want to meet this one because he's the only one who didn't bark at me. Well, just like kids, negative attention is still attention. And so a lot of these dogs are just vying for the attention they can get. That they just want you to stop and look at them. They're used to people walking past every day because when we're working, we're walking past back and forth to every room, and they're doing everything they can to just get us to look at them. And that they need to go into a home and be given that time to just learn how to be a dog again. You know, we consider in humans, like the World Health Organization considers 21 days of solitary confinement torture for humans. And we often are housing these dogs, and yeah, they get to go to playgroup and we do their outings, but it doesn't mean it doesn't take a toll on them. To house them long term. And there's a great director of a rescue in Phoenix who says dogs don't hold grudges, and she will house dogs for a longer period of time and get them forever homes, and they go on to amazing lives. And I see them every day, and they go on to amazing lives. It does, just because they've been here for 2 years doesn't mean they don't deserve it. And they're not going to acclimate. They just need time. You know, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. Like, you don't really know that dog till you've had him home for 3 months.
Mm-hmm. I think a thing we do really well is support our fosters and adopters. Well, we try to. A lot of people are just really, you know, quick to get it off of their hands if it's not the perfect dog to them. But we offer advice and support. We have a lot of experience with these dogs, and we try our best to keep them in the home. If you're having issues, like, people can reach out to us and we give advice. We offer crates and food.
And matchmaking. Like, we'll do our best to try to find you the best fit as opposed to just the first dog you find. I often tell fosters, because I'm often working at the adoption desk helping out and being like, what are you looking for? We'll go walk the building, and if you don't see what you're looking for, come back and see me. Because they might have been out on a walk, they might have been in playgroup. If you know what you're looking for, we can usually do some matchmaking. It just means it might not look exactly like what you were originally envisioning in your head. Because personality is plus. Like, it doesn't matter if that dog is exactly what you're looking for, and look, it's a beautiful tricolor husky with blue eyes, if it's going to jump your fence and like chase your cats. And we might have a dog that's great with cats and mellow and awesome with your kids, but he might look like Angus.
Right.
And a thing with that is, I think people probably bring the animals back so much because we're a no-kill shelter, and because we're life-saving, they're like, oh, I can take this dog back and like nothing's going to happen to it. And we're getting to the point where like now it is going to be life or death if you take a dog and it doesn't do well, and we have to look at the dog and be like, well, what's its adoptability rate? Because we have no space. Is
Right.
this can this dog go back out on the adoption floor? So yeah, like commit to the whole rescue process. You know, do your research about who you're adopting from. Do your research on the animals. Listen to the advice that the adoption coordinators and staff give you. Give the animal time to decompress. We've been doing everything we can to avoid euthanasia. We did waived adoptions for 2 weeks, and it's probably how many adoptions did we do the previous Bissell that we did like 2 weeks? It was like 100 and something.
Yeah.
It was like 100.
It was in December too, though.
It was like 86 dogs and then some
like
odd,
something
couple dozen
like
cats.
30 something cats or something.
Where this time it was like cut in half.
It was like 46 animals.
46 animals, that's it. And that was free adoption.
And majority of those animals were puppies. Who were in foster. They didn't open up. I think we only ended up opening like 5 kennels because of the Bissell event.
And we have, 19 dogs waiting to leave intake to go to general population. So it really didn't help. Even though, thank you to the Bissell Pet Foundation, because, they do support us and we're very grateful.
And we did have a couple of long-timers leave, which was
Thank
amazing.
you to those that adopted and committed to the whole process and have been pretty successful with their adoptions so
One
far.
thing I can say about the Bissell ones, though, the Bissell pet adoptions, Empty the Shelter, is that every single time we have one, at least one long timer gets out of here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've noticed that, which is phenomenal. But, we have a process. We usually have meetings, and it's about 7 of us that sit down and look at a dog and read their notes and discuss the behaviors, and if it's a bite dog, discuss the bite, look at pictures, what was the reason for the bite, and then we try to come to a scenario of, is this dog safe to go into a home? Does this dog need to go into a home with no children, no other animals? How is its adoptability at that point? And then we make a decision. And if we decide that we may have to euthanize an animal, we usually send a plea out to our rescue partners. We put Buttkiss on our Facebook page, and he got out of here. We do reach out, but there's those very, very, very few, which I don't even think we've had that many, that are just not suitable to release back to people. So those we don't give the option, and I don't even think we've had one in a long time.
We've had a handful, and they were all severe bite dogs.
Yeah,
dogs who caused people to be hospitalized and need reconstructive surgery level of bites. Not like I stuck my hand in a dog fight and got nipped.
And I think people think just because we're no kill technically that people think we just adopt out everything so we can get it off of our hands and say, oh, we didn't euthanize that dog. But we do. If they're truly a danger to society, as a municipal shelter, we have the duty of keeping our community safe. So we're not going to place an animal that isn't safe. And usually our dogs with bites, they're minor bites. On the bar scale, they're like a what? 1?
Yeah.
Well, 1 is no. They're like a 2 to borderline 3.
And then they're usually from dog fights. The dogs got in a fight over something. It was probably a handler mistake.
Right.
Or resource guarding.
Right.
Yeah, we see a few resource guarding
Or
fights
children
as well.
messing with dogs, and people think, oh, my dog would never bite a child. That dog gave 50 warning signs before it bit your kid. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's.
But we're at the point where
it's just
even the animals we want to save that should get a chance. They might not get that chance.
No. And, it sucks because a lot of times you'll say this animal may be euthanized or is up for euthanasia, and that's the only way we can get somebody to come in and look at the animal, but that's not even helping anymore. So now it's just kind of like, what are you going to do? I mean, it is what it is. We can't, and you can't have it both ways. We got a lot of negative comments about PCACC, who was here for almost 2 years, in and out. Well, you should have just let him go. It would have been better to let him go. But was it? I mean, he was a good boy. He got out of his yard every morning. He went to his yard every morning. He got on walks. He got to hang out with people in offices. He went to foster a couple of times. So, I mean, why would we want to kill that animal just because he's been here for a while,
And every circumstance is different. Because CK was one of those dogs who he was like a really good example of what I don't consider warehousing. Because CK was an adoptable dog. Everybody who took him home on foster was he assimilated great.
Yeah.
He was super friendly. He went on jogs with us. He used the dog door first day. he was a dog who was getting looked over because of his age and his size, and
Right.
neither of those things were his fault.
No. And the 2 gentlemen that adopted him, kudos to them, because part of the way through the foster, they called and said they were a little worried because PCACC wasn't too fond of their little dog. And then they said, but we're going to work on it. And then lo and behold, they worked on it and he got adopted. And that's a good story. That's a great story. And we always want to remember, like, everything that we go through, we get that one good story and everybody feels good. And then you're back to reality. And here we are again with overcrowding, irresponsible pet owners, just, it's very frustrating, and it's really hard to, like, stay positive and go, yay, team.
Talks of euthanasia started coming up, and everyone was upset. Everyone was, like, on edge, and everyone was, like, bickering with one another, and it's tough. Like, they're practically our second pets,
Yep.
Well, and we are responsible for them. I walk through the building, and like the kennel techs will often hear me be like, "Good morning, kids," and I give everybody their treats, and I do click for quiet, and like we are responsible for them. We are their family, and so when we have to make these potentially life-ending decisions for them, like, that is incredibly difficult when we are the ones walking them every day, and we know it's hard for the public to see it happen. Imagine how hard it is for the people who walk those dogs every single day, who know them. Who
care for them.
know
like
what they like.
Yeah.
Who know if they like hot dogs or if they like a piggy or if they prefer crunchy treats. Like, we know them as individuals. And when we have to make those decisions, it taxes on us. Especially when they're dogs in the circumstances we're in now, where if we were empty, maybe we'd have the extra 6 months to put into really serious behavior modification for those dogs. Like we did during COVID when we were empty.
Right.
But when we don't have, like, Erica can tell you, Audra can tell you, I can tell you, we're out on the road walking dogs because there are maybe 5 people responsible for getting the 200 dogs here out every single day. And you can only walk so many dogs in a day, and you can only offer intense behavior mod to so many dogs before your personal brain is fried. And you can't modify any more behaviors that day. You can't walk another leash reactive dog that day, and because you only have so many hours in your shift to get through everyone. And I don't know a single one of my program coordinators who is not here usually over their shift time to make sure their dogs get out.
Right.
And so if you can't adopt, if you can't foster, even if you can come walk one dog, that is one dog that we don't have to walk.
Exactly.
And it makes a huge difference, especially if you just want to come sit in the yard. If you're like, hey, I had knee surgery, I can't be pulled around, but I would love to just sit and hang out with the dog. I have a lot of dogs who really don't care about going on a walk. They would rather sit between your legs and be petted for 20 minutes.
Right.
Like, that is the most enriching thing for them. There really is a way for everybody to help out. If you're scared of dogs, you can come in and do click for quiet and just give them treats and teach them how to behave quietly at the front of the kennel so they have a better chance of getting adopted. There really is no part of the shelter that could not use a volunteer.
Right.
Yep. So if you're looking to help, we really need it. We've been pleading for the past year, and it's finally here. I think it's finally here. Like, the intakes have been ridiculous. The reclaims have been so low. And
The returns, there really, really a lot of returns.
A lot of returns, and it's just really it kills me because you get so excited when an animal leaves and you're all excited. And then they come back, and you're just like, ah. And not only do they come back, but now their kennel is done. It's got another dog in it, so now we're going to have to find a spot for that dog that we thought was gone.
Or they come back with a traumatic experience that's now made them more difficult to adopt out.
Correct. So, I mean, it's just, in animal welfare, and this is happening throughout the whole country, and, people like Best Friends and Maddie's and Petco and PetSmart, they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on, but we don't know, and we can't put our finger on it, because if we could, we would not be so stressed and full. But I mean, it's just hard in animal welfare because it seems like everybody's really excited and enjoys what we do, but it's starting to become harder and harder to want to get out of bed and come to work when you're like, what's today going to bring? Another 25 dogs? Where are we going to put them?
10 more parvo puppies.
Right, parvo puppies, this, that. It's just, we're looking for help, and when we say we need help, we're not kidding. We need people to help us. I know we're far. We are. I live an hour away. I'm very fortunate I get to have a car. But, I mean, I would still come out here. My stepmother came out here and adopted a dog, and she lives out where I do. So thanks, Bev. But I mean, just if you really truly want to help, then please help. You know.
And if you can't drive to us, go to your local community shelter and help save lives.
Yes, help
Even if you
anybody.
can't come to us. There's City of AJ Animal Control, there's Maricopa County Animal Control, there's AHS, there's PCACC. Like, there is a shelter in your community that needs help.
Valley Humane, Cascaran Animal Control, all of them.
Stop putting money in backyard breeders' pockets.
Yes, I mean, you guys are all going online and getting dogs off of Craigslist or like off of Facebook. Why? Why are you doing that? Are those dogs vaccinated? They're not fixed. What's going to happen?
I'm all for responsible rehoming. You know, that dog is probably not a good fit for that home. You're going to be a responsible owner and you're going to find a good home for your pet. But there is the same people every single couple weeks that show up on group pages selling new litters of puppies. Do you guys not wonder where those puppies come from?
Right.
What does that money exactly go to? Mm-hmm. Are you getting your worth out of that dog? Mm-hmm. That was back.
I mean, we gave free dogs away. Like, we gave them away for free for adopting.
Spayed, neutered,
microchipped, the whole 9 for free. And we only moved 46 animals. How? I just don't understand. I really, truly do not understand. And
it's not that ethical breeders are the enemy either.
No, they're not.
Well, I'm not sure in our current state how it is easy, how ethical breeding can occur, but there definitely are heritage breeders that need to exist for breed preservation and things like that, but that's not what's coming into my shelter.
Yeah.
It is backyard bred pigs.
Those are going to be chipped or tattooed dogs. They have all their paperwork. The breeders usually have a contract with you that they are responsible for that pet for life. You can no longer take care of it.
Right.
But yeah, we don't see that here.
But I've had plenty of dogs with microchips that from AKC Reunite that go back to a breeder that will not take them back.
Right.
So do your research. If you're going to buy from a breeder, make sure your breeder is ethical and that they are going to take back their dogs if anything goes wrong, and that they have references from prior owners and things like that. Because I'm not saying you can never buy a dog. I'd rather you adopt a dog. Absolutely. I'm not saying you can never buy a dog. But make sure they're coming from the right places. Because not too long ago, we had a purebred, papered, cropped, docked Doberman come in here, and his breeder did not take him back. Same thing for a Cane Corso. Breeder did not take him back. And we've had plenty of real nice looking hound dogs come in, like tricolor hounds and everything, and their breeders don't come out of the woodwork to take them back either. So that you can get purebred dogs in your shelter if you're looking for that specific look. You might have to wait a couple months until they come in. But before you buy from a backyard breeder, check your local rescues and your local shelters.
And if you are on those pages selling your puppies, don't think for a minute we don't see that. And we're researching where you live.
Group admins, do us a favor. If it's the same person posting puppies every 2 weeks,
please contact us, because they have to have a permit to do that, and we will find them. So,
and it's more, we see so many of those puppies come in needing parvo treatment. Like, it has been, I will tell you, as a whole, Maricopa and Coolidge, hotbeds for parvo. Do not take your puppies to the park. Please, I'm begging. Please. Don't take your puppies to the park.
Vaccinate your dogs.
Vaccinate your dogs, and don't take your puppies to the park until they're fully vaccinated. Because if it comes from Coolidge or Maricopa and it's a puppy, chances are it ends up having parvo. And we've had so many severe cases brought in where they are pretty much lateral and non-responsive, and we have to try to save them, or rescues might try to save them if they have room to take them on. And the amount of parvo this year has been insane. So please vaccinate your pets. Please don't take your puppies anywhere that they're not fully protected against and being safe, especially in those communities, because we are seeing them in mass. Whole litters dumped under bushes where half of them are dead and the other half get brought in and they're half dead from parvo.
Yeah.
So it is happening. It is happening every day.
So that's where the shelter is at.
Yeah.
Do your research where you adopt. What does no kill mean? Doesn't mean no euthanasia at all. 90% live release rate.
And if you find a stray and you can't keep it for a few days, please don't pick it up. Unless it's in the middle of the I-10 and it's about to get hit by a car or something, or it's impeding traffic, it'll go home. It usually will go home. Try to hold on to it. Don't pick it up. Please, I'm begging you.
The majority of dogs go home when they're
picked up. What is it, 3 blocks from where they live?
They're almost always within 3 blocks of where they live.
And then when they get here, what's the percentage of their return rate?
8%.
8%.
8% chance of going home if they step foot in this shelter.
Right. And shelters were meant to be, they're not meant to be holding facilities forever. They were meant to be something like a temporary hold so that we could look for their owner or get them out and adopted or fostered or rescue. But now we're turning into like, you know, I feel like we're the Motel Pinal, and it's like we've got guests that are going to be here forever and ever, like Hotel California.
Yeah.
You can leave, but you're never really gone. You know, it's like just I don't know.
And we have programs and teams in place for these dogs that are difficult to work with, that require more work and require more time. But there's not time for them when we're flooded by all these dogs. Because I like 90% of the dogs in that building are dog friendly, people friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And when we are saddled with an over influx of those dogs, we don't have time to work with the dogs that need us.
Right.
Like I personally, and I can't speak for them, am fine being the catch for the dogs who really need help. The dogs who are really sick, the dogs who are really injured, the dogs who need behavioral support. I'm not okay somehow housing 4-month-old puppies for 4 or 5 months that are people-friendly, kid-friendly, cat-friendly, dog-friendly, and they are still sitting here 4 months later. They're spending their adolescence in a shelter. That's not fair to them. And they are highly adoptable dogs, and they're just not leaving. So I'm not even saying you have to come down here and adopt a dog who's got challenges. That's great. If you're a unicorn, please come see us. If you have no cats, no kids, and no other dogs, and you just want a partner that's going to be out in the world that go on hikes with you or just live in your house like a couch potato like Angus forever, please come see us. And we have hundreds of dogs who are not that.
Right.
A mom and 2 puppies just came in last week. 5-month-old puppies, about a year-old mom. And they are great with other dogs. They are great with everybody. They are super cute and super shapeable and ready to go on to their lives. And they're still here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's summer.
Yep.
So summer break is here. If you
We're only
need foster.
5 months in, and we're already like in this traumatic state of crisis.
Yeah. Summer is our busiest time for intakes. It's particularly bad this year. And then, I mean, if you can foster, you don't even have to adopt. You don't have to commit for that long. Just help us get through this hump until we can figure out
what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And weekend fosters, even if you don't want to commit to keeping a dog until it's adopted, weekend fosters save lives.
Field trips.
A lot of these dogs, we don't know how they do in a house. We don't know they know how to use a dog door. We don't know that their house broke in. We don't know that they love to watch TV or they're scared of the ceiling fan. That's all information we don't have. And if you can foster them for even 24 to 48 hours and give us great photos of them in your home and valuable information, those dogs get adopted. We had a really nice lady who came in and did field trips all day long. For like 10 hours, she did field trips. She'd take a new dog out for every couple hours, do photos of them and come back. And I'm pretty sure all of those dogs got adopted. Because they were new photos in a new environment, and she shared them on her social media, and she was amazing. And those save lives.
Yeah.
Getting out to different communities really saves lives.
And
So if you guys have any questions, what was that?
If we do have to euthanize, also just keep in mind to have some compassion for
Yes.
your local shelter, because
Please.
it sucks for all of us. No one here wants to euthanize. No one here wants to see dogs die. We all want to see the happy ending for each and every dog, but that reality
Right.
is getting pretty bleak.
Right.
So
We did not get into this business to kill animals. We got in this business to save animals and save lives and educate. And I still feel like we have the greatest job in the world, but sometimes it kind of can get you down a little bit. It's a little hard. But I mean, I'm glad that our animals have us, because I feel like we're the best of all the shelters in Arizona. I'm just throwing it out there. And we have the best team. Losing some of them, but you know, we have the best team. But yeah, I mean, if you could help us, that would be great. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us. And if you want to come and take a tour, we're always available. Me and Katrina are here 5 days a week. Available, take you for a tour, show you the ins and outs, and show you what we really are looking at. We're always transparent and willing to answer any questions. Just be careful what you ask, because we will tell you the truth. You know.
all right, well, come see us, share this video, let people know what your local shelter's up to.
Thank you.